Greatest hits is how greatest hits begins. So good. Also, it sounds like everybody in Los Angeles is dying at once outside. Like, yeah, and it's just started. Like, I've been like sitting here for like an hour, and all of a sudden it's just like. Hey, this is Austin from the band Waterparks. Incredible band, really check it out. And we're doing a track-by-track breakdown with Enemy for our new album, Greatest Hits, out May 21st. That was first take, that was great. Greatest Hits, the intro starts with, the sounds you're hearing, I took with my phone. Like, we were in New York, and I was just like, we were in traffic around, it was like the day Phantom was coming out or the day before or something. We were on the press run for it, and we're just in traffic, and I was just holding my phone like out the cab window. And I was just like, so all those sounds you're hearing are like from Phantom, like when it's starting. And like, you can hear like some clock ticking because, you know, the last album, you know, ended with that kind of thing. Or with that sound. So I took those, you know, I gave 15 clock ticks at the beginning of the song, you know, for each song on for each song on Phantom. And like whenever that 15th tick hits, that's when time kind of slows down and stretches. And so I take those sounds from Phantom. And then also, sorry, I should have said this too. I sampled, like, I just walked around my apartment complex when it was raining one night on one of those very, you know, you get in your feelings, you get in your artistic space, and you're just like, oh man, I'm feeling some shit. So, you know, I was just walking around recording the rain and the wind and all that. So all those sounds, it's from the prime release time of Phantom and after the fact. And so those sounds are like merged together, and then after that, the time just stretches. After I sang Last Night, I had the strangest dream of all. And, you know, that's referring to just like everything that happened before. But it's also alluding to what's about to happen over the course of the album. So, you know, after the 15 ticks, time just warps and slows down. And that's when the Last Night I Had the Strangest Dream of All kind of goes into like nightmare mode, and it's sung like very jaggedly and like all these weird, like messed up layers. And like, the thing is, like, not all the time, but a lot of times when you're, you know, making songs or producing or whatever, you want to make sure things are very like tight and on time because they just work better that way. But with these vocals, I made sure they were just like sloshy and loose and like fucked up and just as jagged as possible. And so it's like when the time slows down and you're starting to go into like that dream, like the way when you're going to sleep, like, you know, you feel like time is just kind of like, you know, slowing down, your heart rate's slowing down. And so that's like the course of that, and it's like the intro to essentially what's gonna be like, I mean, that dream or nightmare or whatever you like take it and perceive it as, but either way, that time. Fuzzy is the first, like, you know, obviously like non-intro, like full length song. And, you know, originally, actually, I was thinking about having Numb be track 2. Because it's just like a very like obvious, it's an obvious choice, but I just really wanted to make sure that, or I guess my concern, there were two things that made it switch. One, I didn't want to be too formulaic with, like, you know, the way we handled the Phantom first song, you know, like Watch What Happens Next. And Fuzzy still like has that intensity, but just in a different way. And it's almost in like a futuristic kind of like, almost like a sexier way, sort of, but it's still like so high energy and crazy, and like just as chaotic, but, you know, in a new way. And that's what you want to do with every album. You don't want to just go in and be like, oh, you know, how do we, you know, do that again? So there was that aspect of it, like sonically, but then there's also lyrically, it just made perfect sense. It's like the first lyrics are like, my demons drive their limo straight up to my window, I hide under my pillow, welcome to the intro. You know what I mean? It's like the start of like that night, you know what I mean? And like a lot of lyrics in that just are like the perfect segue conceptually into what's going on. When I first made the demo for that, I was like, dude, this feels like, it feels like The Hives made a song with like fucking like Ariana Grande doing some ad libs, but then they got like Donald Glover on that pre-chorus, but then they're like fucking Maroon 5 like Diplo collab at like a fucking festival for the chorus. Like just like whenever, like as soon as I like, I mean obviously my demos aren't as good as like Zach's final, like the final stuff, like when he's mixing and doing his thing on it, but when I heard it, I could just see it in my head. I was like, oh my God, like ba ba ga da ga da 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 ga da ga da da. I was like, dude, that's the sound of people jumping. And that makes me so fucking excited. Like anything that could make me wanna like dance more, like as far as like demos go in this time, or make me feel like jumping or whatever. That's what this whole album kind of was, because when you're stuck at home and you're kind of like in your own space and you're just being, and you're like, well, I'm doing this every fucking day forever. Like you want things that make you move. You know what I mean? Like I think sometimes people have weird motives for wanting to make like dance leaning songs, or at least like more rhythmic songs. You know what I mean? Especially if you're like a band. But honestly, I was just like, I just need shit that's gonna make me move right now. Cause that's what's gonna make me like feel fulfilled. So that's what's up with that. And those guitars are just fucking monstrous. There's so many layers. That post-chorus has like 10 guitars doing that fucking lead. It's crazy. I didn't intend for Loki as Hell to be the first single. I didn't. Like, the thing is, I think it's a great song. I think it's a really good song. Like, I was playing it on piano over there earlier, and I was just like, this shit is beautiful. I haven't listened to it in a while, but like these patterns are amazing. Like the vocal patterns. It's difficult because, you know, you put out a song at such a strange time, and like also it was sort of a bittersweet thing because I like at the top of this year, maybe like March or like the end of March, I think, I was like, you know what? We're obviously not doing anything for a while. I don't need to be telling people shit. And also there's so much going on right now that it's not my time to like say, you know what I mean? It's just like, you know what? I think this is a perfect time to like take a break from this and like not look at the internet for a bit. And dude, it was so nice. I wasn't online for like almost 6 months. And when it was time to come back and like tell people that we made Loki and all this shit, I was like, do I have to? Like I broke my internet addiction, and it was so crazy to be like, oh, like I went from like always like tweeting and posting to like, I don't even want to look at this shit at all. I'm always kind of surprised when people connect to things that are so specific. Like motherfucking like, I just cried into a shirt I could never afford last year. Like that's not that relatable, I don't think. But the thing is, like, people take lyrics and they really interpret them in ways like, I mean, it's kind of like in the same way that people like project their own emotions like onto you. This is just like a way less toxic version of that, where, you know, they read what you're saying and what you're going through, and then they're able like mentally to find ways to apply it to themselves. Like I write selfishly. I write like what I'm feeling. You know what I mean? It's not like, I wonder how this is gonna help someone. And like, that's not like great. It's not shitty, because I mean, you know, there's not like rules with like songwriting and art and all that, but it's always interesting to see what people find relatable, because whenever I'm making them and I kind of listen back afterwards, I'm like, this shit is not relatable at all. Numb was one of the first songs, actually I think that was the first demo made after we got back from the Fandom UK/Europe tour. Like we were in Sweden, we're in Stockholm, and then we were leaving, and then like maybe 3 days later they stopped letting people leave the country. So we were like, oh my God, we just got out of there. Yeah, I'd been home for like a week tops before the Numb demo got made. Like quarantine had hit, I wasn't used to it. We were in it for maybe like a week and a half, 2 weeks, and we had just learned that, because we were gonna announce a tour like maybe the day we got home, or like a few days after for the US. That got cut. And so everything was just very strange. I was just kind of like, I don't know what to do with my fucking self. And like, I think that Numb happened because I was just so restless and anxious, and I just had all this fucking energy. I'm like, where do I put my hands? And that's why that song is just like so like explosive. You know what I mean? Because I needed that reason to be like, "Ah!" Like in a mic, you know? And I mean, I feel like it translated pretty well. But yeah, whenever I get antsy or like, I don't want to say anxious because it's not like an anxiety thing, but whenever I'm kind of like, like what do I fucking do? Like, that's when I get on my like talking my shit mode. And Numb is very much that. And it's obviously got like playful elements and shit, you know what I mean? Like I got really into the idea that Coldplay is like not allowed to cuss, like their label won't let them. And it's like part of their whole thing. And I really want to spread that rumor. So if you guys see this, like make some tweets. But yeah, just like that, or like just I like to talk a little shit, like naturally. It's just like I've gotten better about it, but whenever I'm really bored, it kicks in, and I'm like, "Dah!" So Numb is just like adrenaline rush, you know what I mean? It's not too long, it's like a short burst of just like.
Now you're looking through the peephole on the door of my apartment. My panic's at the ceiling, but I'm flat down on the carpet. You say, what?
Violet is about kind of a stalker situation that I had going on. See, that's the thing is like I feel nervous like saying too much because like I just don't want to like exacerbate the situation. Yeah, I mean it's like walking around your neighborhood and you know feeling watched, and then you know you get like a message online that was like saw you at blah 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 blah, and you're like, you know what I mean, or like just a handful of like weird confrontations that I am not looking for at all. So musically, honestly, I had just made a couple like real weird ones, like Snow Globe, where I'm like, there's like a 40-something second piano intro. I just wanted to make a song that felt extremely good. Now the problem is, it's a fucking Waterparks song. So I mean, if it sounds really bright and shiny, that means I'm saying some weird or dark shit. So you know, don't listen too hard. But yeah, I mean, I just wanted to make a song that sonically just felt so good. And then those lyrics, that was just sort of what was going on at that time.
7 p.m. let it sink in. I've been looking dark in the back at the deep end. Now it's 3 a.m. Everybody goes home alone.
Snow Globe is arguably one of the best songs I've ever written in my whole life. That was the first song that I ever improvised, like while writing vocals for it. What I did was I like looped the instrumental for 20 minutes or something, and then and it was nighttime, got the blue lights going on the TV, like no sound obviously, turned off all the other lights, just full vibe, and I just like sang everything that came to mind. A lot of it was gibberish, you know what I mean? There's a lot of like, you know, whatever it is, and but I did that 3 times and then stacked them on top of each other. The layers of that song stacked were like so crazy, and I kept picking out individual pieces, and I'd write down like, you know, like in my notes, take 1, take 2, take 3, and I'd write down like times that something cool happened, you know, and then go back and listen to that. And like that's actually how the outro happened, because so many of the my laces are not happening right now. You know, the outro is like vocal layers. There's like the us giving up and getting up, but there's also like I don't have the sympathy and I think the journey more from me. You know what I mean? It's like a whole thing. That was because of that layering thing that I did. Those played at the same time for like 4 seconds, and I was like, whoa! Like I wasn't like that's because I didn't hear that in my head while I was like tracking the stuff, but after the fact, like listening to the layered takes, there was like a bit of that, and I was just like, holy shit.
I wish I was dead sometime so I wouldn't have to check my phone. I wish I was dead sometime so I could spend a day alone.
Just Kidding was the first song that was like fully fleshed out for this album. Zach Cervini and I co-produced this album. First producer credit, shout out, let's go. But it was right before we left for the UK and Europe. I got a few days with them, and I mean, as you can probably guess, I wasn't feeling good those days. And so, Just Kidding happened, and you know, it's The thing is, it's not the darkest point of the album, but surface level wise, it is. Like if someone's like not really paying attention and they're just kind of like, you know, letting the words kind of slide off of them or whatever, they'll miss things. But Just Kidding is the most surface level dark one on the album. Like when people hear that one, like next week or whatever, they're gonna be like, but I don't know. If I can't say this shit in music, then I can't really say it anywhere. I wanted to make a song that felt like we were pushed back into like 1998 and we were collabing with like Usher, like instrumentalized. Like I wanted this song to be like Usher having a terrible day.
Sundays looking like a Sunday, wishing for a Sunday I could run away like that. Never think I need a life for maybe 9. 'Cause I'm feeling
It's hard to talk about Just Kidding without talking about Secret Life. They kind of go together for me. And so since Just Kidding is like a, you know, like a severe low point on the album, like emotion wise, Secret Life of Me is like the detached moment, like the dissociation. You know what I mean? And that's like what that song is about. And in that time, I was trying like a lot of transcendental meditation, and a lot of the ones I was trying were also like very sound focused, had like bells and stuff in me, like the ding, and it kind of like re-centers your thinking and like, you know, your visualization. So that song has those like all throughout. Like it literally starts with like the ding, and it's like it's like the ones from the meditations, and like and also that kind of meditation, I should probably also say, it's about like, now picture you're like going above the trees. Now you're in fucking space. You see Earth getting smaller and smaller, and you know, and like eventually you see nothing. You're far away from everything. Like it's very like dissociative. So I wanted that song because like as much as I can with like tie in things conceptually, it's a lot easier to do it like, I mean, obviously lyrically and like visually with videos and stuff, but sonically, if you can work things like that in, like the bells from the meditations, like, and like where it's about like separating and shit, which is, you know, it lines up perfectly with the lyrics. If you can do stuff like that, that's like one of my favorite things. And it helps make the song like feel more real and authentic too. And especially with the transition where it's like, dude, it's perfect timing. It's like, and repeat. You know, it's like immediately just like right into it. Because, I mean, as much as the album is like the cycle of a night, like there's like, you know, cycles within it too. And Just Kidding and Secret Life, it's like they go right back into each other so much. You know what I mean? And that's like real life shit too. Yeah, so Just Kidding is like the dark point, and then it just shoots immediately. You know what I mean? Because that's how my moods go too. Like it's a thing, but like just very low into like very high. And like that instrumental is like probably like the brightest one. Like that instrumental sounds like the sun.
Yeah, you've been reading all about me, and you won't be what you found.
I was watching a George Lucas interview, and the reason he made the movie American Graffiti was because a lot of the feedback he was getting from the studio at the time was that the other stuff he was working on was too weird and not relatable. At the same time, I was feeling particularly frustrated by, and the thing is like, it's a lot easier to stop feeling like petty about shit when you can actually go outside and touch some fucking grass and like breathe. But I wasn't doing that at this time. And you know, sometimes you see people like artists and you just feel annoyed and frustrated by like how inauthentic it is. And it feels very transparent, and you're just like, this shit is so stupid. And you know, I mean, I was just like, I was at my like petty, bored, restless. I was on that shit again, which isn't, again, it's not cool. It's not good. Like I'm not stoked about it, but I was just like, you know what? I'm gonna make the fucking best like pop rock sounding kind of song, like way better than any of these motherfuckers can like ever do. Even if there's like rooms, or it's like a room full of fucking people, like I'm gonna write something cooler and more creative. Like that outro is like one of the fucking coolest things. I was like, I can do what they're doing. They can't make American Graffiti. And that was like, I made the song because of that, and because some of the feedback I was getting from people was like the George Lucas stuff. Like I watched that interview at like a real like serendipitous time. I even was like getting calls Like I stopped getting these, but I got a couple calls from people. They were like, not so sure about that one, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, well, it's on the album either way, so thanks for calling. But, so I mean, I kind of made American Graffiti like just it's like at its core, it's a very straightforward like pop rock song, but with just like, it's just got such special and like innovative feeling production. You know what I mean? Like I've got like some crazy, like dude, the guitars are doing like all this reverse shit, and I wanted the outro to sound like some like George of the Jungle type shit, like straight up just like kitchenware. I got some knives out, I got some pans. I like found some other ones that sound better like online. Like I just layered that shit like crazy. And also that song's got like 3 tambourines in it and a bunch of shakers. Like I wanted it to just feel very like organic, because I also feel like a lot of like pop rock shit that's coming out right now is just straight up like MIDI, pod farm, let's go, like, but I was just like, I just want to, like, it was kind of made out of spite, and it's called American Graffiti because of that, and also because American Graffiti, the movie, is actually one, like, my dad's favorite movie, or at least top 3. He shifts between a few, like, he really likes Training Day. Dirty Dancing was his favorite, but then I think my sister got older, and he stopped identifying with Patrick Swayze and started identifying more with, like, the dad. So I don't think he fucks with that movie as much anymore. It's pretty funny. Quite simple, really. You'd be paranoid too if everyone was out to get you. It's obviously a hyperbole, but sometimes you feel like everyone's fucking out to get you, you know? And you feel, and it's very easy to feel that way when like you're living life online, like you can't go anywhere. Dude, that's definitely a big reason why people are so fucking anxious, like young people online, because everyone is so weirdly unforgiving. You're not allowed to like learn. You know what I'm saying? And this isn't me, I'm not talking about anyone in particular or like any like particular instance or whatever, but you know, I mean, obviously I've just watched it happen. You know, these like young people, they'll just like go in on people for like saying some stupid shit, and like it's not everyone's job to just always be right. You know, people are fucking people. Humans make human mistakes, but there's just such like an air of just like everything is so absolute, and there's no gray areas, there's no room for like nuance or like tone. Everything is just black and white and unforgivable. And I think that causes people, like, you know, they'll like young people, they'll go in because it makes them feel like they're doing a good thing when they're like going in at somebody. And you know, sometimes it is like, sometimes, yeah, like show them what's up, whatever, move on. But I think, and this is just my guess or whatever, but, or like what I've been able to observe, I think that people get so used to that, but it also makes them like watch their own back and be like, it makes people anxious because everyone's always kind of like, oh, like I see fans fucking do that to each other where I'm just like, I don't know, like one of them says something stupid. They're fucking teenagers. Of course they're gonna say something. I said so much, everyone says stupid shit, but like, then they all start fucking messaging me being like, just so you know, I'm a stranger, and this other stranger that happens to listen to the thing you do, they said something weird and we don't really like it. I'm like, okay, fuck am I gonna do about that? Like, I can barely control like my own shit. Like, I don't even know you fucking people. And I think that just creates this air of like anxiety. It makes everybody so anxious and paranoid. And that's definitely not something that, like, so, you know, put all that to the side. It's definitely not like a thing that I'm ready for, or I was ready for when people started knowing we existed. I was like, oh, like I can't like post a video of me peeing anymore. I'll get suspended. That sucks. With this whole album, like I think being stuck inside so much made me want to be more collaborative, because, you know, you can't see anyone. You feel so isolated that you're kind of like, and you're like, and all my friends are fucking musicians for the most part, or like half of them at least. And so you're like, you know what? Like, this is a way to like hang out with friends and feel like less isolated, even if it's just like FaceTime shit. But writing with Joe is cool because he's an extremely funny dude. I hate touring with him because it just like ruins my voice. I'm usually like yelling at him. Like he was with us on the entertainment tour in the UK because he sings in that band called Patent Pending. He kind of helps me write a little more like light-hearted leaning, or like a little, or I don't know if that's the right word, or like more playful. You know what I mean? There's definitely a good way to put it, but he kind of like, cause you know, I could be going like real dark and like metaphorical and stuff with like Snow Globe, but I don't want everything to always be like that. It's important to have like a lot of sides to it. And I realized, I think because of how I was feeling a lot of last year, I was having trouble accessing that like inner child part, you know, that gives you like the kind of fun, like the things that kind of make you go like, huh. You know what I mean? For writing. And he's really good about not writing for you, but like helping access that. So that was cool. Yeah, Dwayne came over and I was like, hey, on this outro, I just want to be like, I'm gonna turn around, say some stupid shit, no! Like that kind of thing. So Dwayne and I were both doing that. The very last thing you hear is Dwayne, like, he like thought he messed up or something. He's like, oh, I'm sorry. But like, it cuts and like we like stretch it. So it's like, oh, I'm sorry. In different roll-ups. So anyway, Mikey was recording bass and the dude engineering it was Chris Caraba from Dashboard. And so Mikey FaceTimed me that day and was like, dude, Chris is like tripping over this song. Like he loves it so much. He wants to know if he can sing on the chorus. And I was just like, yeah, go ahead. Go for it. Like that'd be dope. I would love that. Yeah, so that song is just so full of like people and I love it for that. You know what I mean? Because it's just, it feels more like when I hear it, I can hear like friends.
It's true. I'm a little bitch for you now. I don't wanna say it way too
Fruit Roll-Ups was another one that started pretty, you know, improvised. And like as far as like the vocals go, it was very, very bare bones at first, just like the guitar, like dun, 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 dun. I was stoked on it right away because we've never had a song in 3/4, like the time signature, and I was like, this is like so necessary right now. Like, why have we never done that? I think it's because like time signatures are for fucking nerds, and like 4 on the floor are fucking bust. But that one was just so nice, and I started layering it with like the most beautiful keyboards, and I was just like, fuck. Like I remember doing that instrumental, every single sound that was made that night, I was just like, oh my God, yes. Or like even just down to like little like little pad things, I was just like, it's perfect. And I was just like alone in my place being a psychopath. I had like the orange and pink lights going. And again, yeah, like when it came time to do the vocals, I didn't do as many as Snow Globe because almost everything that I was like singing for it, I was like, that was good. And then I sang something else, I was like, that was good too. And it kind of just kept happening. And a lot of the lines were making me laugh too. And I liked it because that instrumental, even before I knew what it was going to be like called or about or anything, like I was just like, this shit feels so romantic. And the very first thing that I sang for it was the opening line, because I straight up had some Fruit by the Foot on my kitchen table. They were the Starburst kind, like Starburst and Fruit by the Foot did a collab, and I saw it at the store and I was like, oh my God, what? I was like, I need to learn, I need to know what's going on here, I'm gonna investigate. And they were on the table and I was just listening to it and I was just like, I got some fruit by the foot if you wanna come over, like that whole thing. And because I was looking at them, that was the first thing I sang, and I stopped and I was just like, ah! Like I think I even have that like in, like, I mean, if I went back to the demo and like dragged out that take, I sang that and I was just like, oh! I was like, that was so good.
'Cause I like it, yeah, I like it, I like it. 'Cause I like it, 'cause I like it.
Oh, dude, that one in the same way as like Numb, just talking shit. Those songs started with Tantrum. Like they can be rooted, like traced back to that. That's the first song where I think I stopped being like metaphorical about things, and I was just like, I'm gonna fucking kill that guy. And like saying names, it's like I just felt good. I was just like, oh yeah, this gets me fucking excited. Like I'm gonna fucking deck this fucking dude. And or like just being impossibly blunt about things just feels so much better than like hiding it under like pretty words sometimes. And so, wait, can you guys add bleep effects in post? Fuck it. Okay, so yeah, I mean, like, obviously we're a band and people know fucking about us, and so we have to deal with industry bullshit. That song just felt so good to like let things out in. Like, please bleep it if you can. Enemy, what's up? Love you guys. Hope to do many things in the future. Don't get me sued. So I like second verse being like, I wanna get away, but I'm put in these situations where instead of being creative, I'm making business decisions. Like me, stop from fucking us over. You know what I mean? Like that kind of thing. Or I was just getting so many stupid fucking phone calls with the dumbest suggestions. That's another thing. If you're an artist, like people, they're like, we want to work with artists. And then they call you trying to tell you what to do with the dumbest fucking ideas on the stupid earth. And I'm just like, I don't tell you how to wake up and be a dumb bitch every day, so how about you stay out of my lane? No, my whole freeway, like get the fuck out of here. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like I'm taking fucking crazy pills. You're like, we love what you do. I'm like, cool, then let me fucking do it. Like, and that song just feels so good. I mean, if songs don't make me feel like that, or at least that way in another, like that far in another direction, I'm just not that excited about them.
Anything else is fighting completely for survival. And total survival completely relied upon a stadium full of people.
Okay, so Gladiator is the album's interlude. And I even feel disrespect. It feels like I'm like disrespecting it by calling it that, but it just is. Like it's a cool interlude. That could have been a standalone song. It could have been the longest song. And actually, I'm gonna tell you, it was the longest song for a second. So the guy talking is Josh Madden. And if any of you, I mean, I don't know if anybody who talks to Josh like this is gonna make it this far in this interview. I kind of doubt it, but that's fine. But I'll just say that like they're like any friends or whatever are gonna watch like a minute and be like, yo, that was dope, dude. And I'll be like, thanks. So when Josh gives you a talk, he goes. Like those, like the shortest Josh talk I've ever had was like an hour. And so I was in the car with him maybe a month before Fandom came out. We were driving, I think we were gonna go like pick up lenses or something. I forgot what it was for, but we were driving around and he was giving me this talk about fan culture and like celebrity culture and just like the way things are and like what it's all traced back to. And he was just going off. Like he'd already been talking for a while, and at a certain point I was like, hey, do you mind if I record this? And he was like, I don't care. And then just kept talking. So I was like, fuck it, and recorded. The original voice memo with Josh was 25 minutes long. 25. Don't ask me how I got it off my phone because I legitimately don't remember. Like normally it doesn't even let me airdrop shit like 10 minutes long. So it was very long at first. And I was like, you know what? Shouldn't do that, I don't think. And so I brought it down to like 6 minutes. So it's still the longest song. It was almost the longest one on the album. And it was one of those things where I'd play it, you know, like along with other songs and demos and like rough versions or incomplete things. And people I'd be playing it for, I could kind of tell I was losing them a little bit. And I was like, I was like, I love this. And I kind of like the idea of like technically like a not song or like not a traditional song being the longest thing. I just thought it was like a funny idea. My friend Travis was like, hey, this album is fucking incredible. And I was like, thank you. He's like, don't do that interlude. And I was like, shut up. And I was like, it works so well between Like It and Magnetic. Like I need that kind of shift. And he was like, okay. So, and like we were talking like, it was like maybe like 8:30 in LA. So he's in Austin, Texas. And so he's a couple hours ahead. And he goes to bed so early. He's like a little old man. But the next morning I woke up to a fully transcribed thing of all 6 minutes. He also condensed it for me and made it shorter. And then he even made a more condensed version. And he was like explaining certain aspects of it. Dude, the email was like this fucking long. That's what he does. He's very good. But I was just like, Travis, holy shit, I'm gonna get coffee and read this, but oh my God. And he wanted it to be very short. You know what I mean? Or he was like, I don't know if you need it. I'm like, shut the fuck up. And so we settled on like a minute and a half or a minute 40 or something. But that instrumental is so cool. Like it started a little more bare. Like it was just the bass and like a kick and like some synths. You know what I mean? Like the thing is, it wasn't bare, but it sounded bare. Like, you know, you still had the vocal layers of me being like, ah. You know what I mean? And like they're like very stacked and like kind of manipulated. when we really locked that in and like got the production right, I played it in the car and I was just like, oh my fucking God. Oh my God. Like it's one of the best feeling songs on the album to me. Like it just, cause it feels like a little spooky with some of the keyboards. You know what I mean? But at the same time, it's still just like so like confident and like dance. You know what I mean? If that shit's not in movies, I'm gonna be mad. Sync department, what the fuck are you doing? Yeah. These three go together as well on the album. Like It, Gladiator, Magnetic. Like It is about the like all of the external stressors of doing what we do and like, you know, my life and, you know, my life being Waterparks and shit. Gladiator is it's kind of like the point of it being an interlude is just have like a shift there because then, and it's like addressing like what, you know, artists and stuff go through. Not to, you know, be like, oh, poor us, but, you know, fuck you, who cares? It's my album. And Magnetic is all of the internal stuff. So whereas Like It is like this side of the coin, Magnetic is the other. So this is all the external stuff, and Magnetic is all the internal. Because when you make art, like you have to have like another version of yourself almost. You know what I mean? Like you have to have like the stage version of you. You have to have like the like almost like an ego safety net. So Magnetic is about not letting that version of you be you. You know what I mean? Like not letting it like consume you or become more of you than you actually are. It's like about that struggle, and it kind of like personifies it a little bit and makes it a real like character. Magnetic is almost like Dream Boy gone like really sour and like really south. You know what I mean? And like in a materialized kind of like creepy way. It's gonna go so hard live. That outro is just like the most evil fucking thing. Like we had it, like there's like a, cause I wanted it to just be very minimal, like just vocals and like bass, like, you know what I mean? But I was like, it needs to be like more fucked up. So you throw like a bit crusher in there and it's just like that paired with those vocals is just like one of the most like fucking, not like outwardly, but it's one of the most like haunted sounding parts of the album. You know what I mean? Like there's like, dude, that straight up, like when I heard that, I was like, this sounds like with that keyboard, like I was like, this feels like I'm getting stabbed in the chest by like a glow in the dark person.
All I think about is where it might be, and when I'm swallowed down, I say it's for you, yeah.
So crying over it all, I liked the idea of writing a song for someone that I don't know yet, that I'm gonna meet someday. You know what I mean? And it's like someone who's gonna be there like after all this shit is done. Cause I mean, everyone watching this, you're not gonna fucking care forever, and that's fine. Like, I mean, yeah, the music will be around and you'll be like, oh, remember? And I'll be like, I'm still like alive, I'm still a fucking person. And I wanted to make a song for whoever is there like after all of that. You know what I mean? And so it's crazy because it's like from the future, but it feels like very just like classy and expensive and nostalgic. Like I wanted the instrumental to kind of feel like almost like kind of Great Gatsby. You know what I mean? Like if they made Great Gatsby again, I would send in this instrumental for a sync. Again, sync department. What are you doing today? What are you doing right now? Like Great Gatsby 2, come on. But I think that instrumental is just so fucking pretty, and the vocals are just like so soft with it, like all I think about, and like when like it's so like light, but then the instrumental is just like boo, like the bass is so big, and like there's just like this very fragile but pretty sounding acoustic guitar, and like just like the fastest layers of harps. And again, walking around with my phone, I've been trying to find bird sounds, like good bird sounds for a minute. And there was one morning where I was walking around and they were just everywhere, and I was like, phone up. So there's birds all over that song, because it's just sound like I wanted it to kind of feel like another reference. So Great Gatsby, and I wanted it to feel like Snow White. You know, where it's kind of like, ooh, and there's like birds chirping and shit and like little violins and whatever. Like I wanted it to feel like Snow White in like the pretty kind of sense, and like kind of like past life vintage kind of feel, but then just like so like lavish and like huge and like gold.
Wake up, come on, man, my life's a sore tip, but what's important, my shirt's important. I pray for more shit like that would help me to feel more free to be closer.
Ice bath is so important. I don't think people are gonna appreciate it on first listen. And if they do, awesome. But the thing, and I was talking about this yesterday, there are certain aspects of this album where I feel like they might be misinterpreted or not, or like misunderstood. Like with Yeezus, for example. I listened to it and like, I really loved like half of it on first like listen or two. But then I would catch myself thinking about other songs on it. And like after a while I started going back and I was just like, oh my God, like for some reason, like the first listen was so strange and jarring, but it planted a seed still. And I think that's what this album, it might be like that for some people. Like some people are probably gonna love it right away. Like, I think it's gonna like miss some people at first, but then people are gonna go back to it later and be like, fuck, this actually is the best Waterparks album. Part of me literally was just like, you know what? Let's just make it like 10 fucking bangers. Greatest hits, just like the 10 biggest songs we ever fucking have. Boom, go, done. Like straight up like pop structure, like just make the fucking best songs, go, done. I wrestled with that a lot and I realized all my favorite albums have moments where they get to be artistic and like the shit's obviously not a single. When albums are just straight singles and you can tell that's how it was designed, it feels more like commerce than art. And at this point, I just need to feel more fulfilled. You know what I mean? I need to feel like I actually am like making an artistic piece, because if it's all just for commerce, then I'm just gonna fucking like jump out that window. But Ice Bath is like something that just had to be made for the album. And it's like, okay, so conceptually, you kind of, or like the beginning of the album is like the start of the night and like going to sleep and kind of like going into this like fucked up world thing again. Ice Bath is like the wake up moment. So it's like, very slow. You got the intro kind of thing going and then it's like, and then it like, and you realize that like real life is so like even more chaotic than you knew it could have been. Like you think like this dream state, this dream world, like this, like however many hours, like this night period or whatever is like so fucking insane. But when you wake up, you realize like Earth is just on fucking fire and like your brain is just like on fire. Like everything like is like so much more chaotic than it was even in that time. And Ice Bath is just such a good representation of that. Like it's still distorted, it's still fucking crazy and like hectic. Goes like right back into just like some really wild like real life shit and like, anxieties and like future, like thinking about like all these like different future things and like how to make shit right with like, your personal relationships and like career things and just like all like, just life shit. And then See You in the Future starts.
I can feel a fucking university with all the things that keep me company when all I wanna say casinos jump a limo straight into my window like the motherfucking Postmates and late. Goddamn, hot damn, Bill Gates, hey, and the taxi.
That song just sounds like hell, dude. That shit is crazy. Like hearing that instrumental, like the verses, I was just like, I don't think we should be allowed to have this. This is crazy. Like it's so like haunted sounding. It sounds like fucking just so demented. The guitars are like 2 octaves down. It's just like whoop, 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 bah, bah, bah. Like it's just so fucking hard. And it's kind of like, again, just like a continuation with Ice Bath where it's like real life is so much more fucking like hectic than you could have like even imagined like with like the rest of the album. I realized before whenever I was, because I've always been like singing fast in our music, you know what I mean? Like there's always like we're like, damn, that was like a fucking breathful, dude. Like you went for it. You can hear like Mad all the time or like fucking, even like back on like Blacklight, it's like, someone's gonna like cut this up and just make it all the gibberish parts where I'm just like making sounds. I'll retweet it, it's fine. But like, like Dizzy, Blonde, like, like there's always like faster stuff. And that's not because I'm like, ooh, I wanna rap. Like that's not what it fucking, like that's not what I'm trying to do like at all. I just have so many things that I want to fucking say and I don't want an 8-minute song that, oh my God, there's a gnat. And like I don't wanna have like an 8-minute song just to like fit all these things in. If I got everything I want on album 3, Fandom, and I grew up and became who I wanna be, I mean, I technically have like a lot of the things I want. Why am I lying when I say I feel content? I don't wanna say too much, but what's a meltdown between friends? Which is crazy because like the fan relationship, obviously, we're not like fucking friends. We don't know each other. But it's like, what's a meltdown between friends? It's like, fuck it. And then I just like go in about like everything. It's just like insanely over the top, exaggerated shit. There's like funny versions of things, but again, they still have like layers of like really like, you know, like deeper things. I'll go into them too, because I know there's going to be stupid people that like hear a line and they're like, wow, I can't believe you'd say that. That's so stupid. Like, you know what I mean? Like one of those kinds, especially in like the second verse, but I'll go into it. So, I'll start at the chorus first though. The whole premise of like see you in the future is like, there's a few different meanings. There's one, like, since the whole thing is gonna like obviously start again, it's like, okay, see you tomorrow night. You know what I mean? Like see you in the future, like I'll see you next time for like this fucking whole thing again. It's like greatest hits, it's like something you live like every night. You know what I mean? And that's another reason I'm like, these are your greatest hits. Another thing is like so much of the album is about like protecting yourself and like dissociating or making like alternate versions of yourself and it's like see you in the future is almost kind of like a, hey, I'll like talking to myself, you know what I mean? Like an inner monologue, like, hey, I'll see you when it's safe. But yeah, second verse just goes like full fucking chaos mode. And what I really love about it was instead of going from the second verse into the chorus, like a normal kind of structure, it just like slows down again, like and it's like there's like a break, and then it goes, it's like fuck everyone and everything, like it's like it goes right back, and you're just not ready for it. And I remember recording like the demo for it. Actually, I recorded all those vocals at my place. When I had like the initial vocals, I listened to it the next morning, and I kind of forgot about that part, and it was like, dun, 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 fuck, everyone and everything, and I was just like, whoa! I was like, holy shit! Like, it like caught me off guard. I'm so excited for that to happen to other people. What I really like, and I know people are gonna be like, what is he talking about, Elon Musk, what? And I'm like, where the fuck's my flying truck, bitch? Put down $100, shit never showed up, what's up, that's fucked. But the thing is, it's so like insane, that's such an, like, all of that is literally incorrect. Like, it's not a flying truck. It does not cost $100. You do not get it after you pay $100. It's like, what's up? That's so fucked. And it's like how if everything could go away, then I never had it anyway. If I'm the guy from Castaway that makes you Wilson Hayes, like it like goes into like some actual like real like deep feeling shit. But the point of that is to show that even the stuff that's like not justifiable, you know what I mean? Like the stuff that's like fucking insane and like bad shit and like you shouldn't be mad about it, it carries equal weight to like valid feelings. You know what I mean? It just makes you feel like crazier. It's just showing that like everything up like sets you off in like an equal way. It's like the shit that's just not factual, does not matter, it's not even true. I pulled off my fingernail, I'm sorry, I'll put it in my pocket. That whole song is like packaging very real and like heavy things, but in like kind of like playful ways. When the lyrics are so like down, like at your core, like it's very just like it's at your center, it's who you are. It's almost like animalistic or some shit to like talk about them. Like you're like it's like very lizard brain, you know? And I just wanted the outro to feel as chaotic as like you feel, or like I feel inside sometimes, like especially when it comes to all like everything I'm talking about. And it just feels like so like primal at the end, where it's straight up just like the biggest wall of sound coming at you. And it's just like so hectic and then just nothing. And it was the same kind of way with Fandom, 2 cycles. Like things don't always feel resolved. And that's like such a big part of these feelings, especially when, again, you know it's gonna happen the next night. So yeah, I think that's See You in the Future. Thank you for watching the Waterparks Greatest Hits track breakdown with me, your host, Awsten Knight. We'll see you next week. Hey, can I come back next week, or is that just like off the table?